What's up guys, my name is Patrick and today we are reviewing my 2003 Mazda Miata. I've owned this car for about 2 years, so I'm kind of calling it an owner's review. I think that I know my way around this car pretty well, so I feel comfortable talking about it. But it's a very, very nice day today. It's been snowing the past couple days here in Michigan, and I think it's only fair. Open this up a little bit. There we go. There we go. Nice. All right, let's do it. So, I bought this car 2 years ago, completely stock. I've added an aftermarket ECU, which is Mega Squirt 3. Full exhaust, it's a 2.5 inch, as well as a cold air intake to give it a little bit more induction noise and open up a little bit more power. The car is also running a set of BILSTEIN's shocks, and I actually built these myself. I say built, but I ordered all the parts and then assembled it. So 500 foot-pound springs in the front and 300 in the rear, and I find that it rides very, very well. It's definitely not the most comfortable thing in the world, but in terms of handling, it's outstanding. I've taken this thing on track and it does very, very well. You have a lot of confidence in this car. Quite a lot of confidence. It takes potholes, like, kind of, not really. I mean, like, it's a Miata, so it's a very very floppy car, and hitting potholes kind of hurts you a little bit. So I've actually also just put in, with the help of my brother, injectors and a new fuel pump. So this car right now is sitting at around like 135 wheel horsepower, which is a very good amount for a car this light. I mean, it's a very rapid car. You feel very rapid. It's not necessarily like fast, like it's tearing your face off, but it always wants to go full throttle. 100% of the time, it just wants to go, which I personally think is like the best thing in the world, because I would rather have a car that just feels like it wants to go all the time rather than a giant turbo that, you know, takes 5,000 RPM to spool up and you know, I really like the way that this car drives currently. The throttle response is outstanding. Rev matching, easy as hell. It's a very, very easy car to drive. And I think that's one of the biggest selling points of this car, is that not only is it easy to drive, but it's cheap, it's reliable, and overall, you cannot really go wrong with a Miata. Especially an NB2. If somebody says like NA and NBs are the same car, they are not the same car. They're not. This interior is so much better. The chassis is so much stiffer than the NAs. If you can swing the extra couple $1,000, get an NB. They are way better. Like, yes, they don't have the pop-up headlamps, but cool. Like, you know. Overall, I mean, it's just such a chuckable car. So how has this car been over the over 2 years that I've owned it? It's been fantastic. I've loved this car kind of on and off. I say kind of because you kind of have to have like 2 cars to enjoy a Miata. You have to have one daily driver and then a Miata. Because I tried dailing this car, which I did successfully for 2 summers, and it worked, but I wasn't really enjoying it while I was doing that bit. It's a very difficult car to drive every day, especially in Michigan with all of our potholes. It's difficult to drive every day and just enjoy the car. But if you have 2 cars, it's perfect. I mean, just outstanding. It's also got a good noise too. I mean, You can make a Miata sound pretty bad, but if you put a conservative exhaust on, they sound very, very good. This one has a COBALT AXLEBACK exhaust, RACINGBEAT mid-pipe, and RACELAND header. So the car is catless. It has one resonator and one muffler. It sounds awesome. I really, really love it. Going uphill now. Not exactly the quickest thing uphill. You gotta kind of yeet it to get up hills. But I mean, you cannot beat top down, loud car, fast driving. It's so fun. This is always the trick. It's such a fun car with the top down. And like, I know a lot of people like putting hard tops on, but I actually love and prefer having a soft top. You put it up in 5 seconds, you take it down in 1 second. It's amazing. So how is the interior? So NB2s, which I think is after 2001, get really, really nice seats. In NA seats, not exactly the greatest. They don't have a lot of bolstering, but these are actually pretty nice. It's a common upgrade for people just to buy NB2 seats and use them in their car. I don't really have any complaints. Driving this car on track in these seats is a little bit tough because you kind of got to hold yourself in position. They don't have a lot of thigh support, so eventually I'll upgrade seats. But as far as Miatas go, this is definitely a very good year. Now, there's a lot of creaks and a lot of rattles. It's a 20-year-old car, and it sounds like it. Now, some people are a little bit different in the way that what they can tolerate. I don't really mind this car that much. All the little quirks and everything kind of falling apart, I don't really mind it too much, but if you are somebody that kind of pays attention to that stuff, definitely drive in one before you buy one, just in case you end up hating it. So if you're wondering if tuning this car on a tune that my brother made, and is supported heavily by a feature called auto tuning, which basically just tunes the car for you. If you're wondering if the car drives like well, it feels like stock. This is amazing. Just going through the gears, even just, you know, normal low speed and everything else, it feels very, very smooth. It's almost near stock. I will say the cold starts are pretty hard to tune for. It sometimes takes a while to crank, but it's just a lot of revisions and a lot of tuning through it. So if you're thinking about going Mega Squirt, definitely think about your power goals for the car. If you want to go turbo, obviously Mega Squirt. If you just want to have an exhaust on the car, I don't know if I'd recommend putting an aftermarket ECU in the car, just because you do lose a lot of, you know, cold start up, and you have to tune a lot for the car to make it feel good, and I don't know if it's really worth it for the extra 10 to 15 horsepower. But if you're planning on going turbo, or you're just doing a high horsepower NA build, I could not recommend putting a Mega Squirt in at, you know, it's awesome. It's a very, 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 very good ECU. It's very cost effective. It's running very old computer technology, which isn't great, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I think probably one of my favorite parts of this car is actually the shifter. Now notice I said shifter, I didn't say transmission. Miata transmissions, at least in the NA and the NB, are not very good. It's very common for our gears to grind, and they're not very good transmissions. But this shifter, MIATAROADSTER, tall and angled, I love this. It's very, very good. I got a Skunk 2 shift knob on top of that, and overall it makes shifting very, very fun. It's awesome. heel and towing, very easy. It is pretty funny though, as hard as I try, I cannot get the car to chirp second gear. It just doesn't have enough power. I'm running 205 tires, which is a pretty standard size for Miatas. A lot of NAs have to roll their fenders a little bit to get away with a size like that. NBs typically can run 205s with not a whole lot of clearance issues. I'm running Extreme Contact Sports on top of KONIG wide opens, 15x8 wheels. And I think it's a very, very good setup. You can get the car to slip on track, but you have to do it intentionally. It's a very progressive tire in terms of losing traction. You aren't going to be surprised when you lose traction, put it that way. You have to literally know that you're trying to lose traction for it to go. On top of that, in the rain, perfect tire. I have no complaints at all. Absolutely love them. Now, I'm actually on stock brake calipers. I don't get the whole big brake kits for Miatas unless you're like a turbo or a supercharge. Anything under like 200 wheel horsepower, you don't need a big brake kit to run that. Put some aggressive pads on, stainless steel brake lines, and then just go for it. You really do not need a big brake kit, especially I think NB2s have the optional, I think it's like a sport caliper, whatever. It's like a little bit bigger, so that makes a difference. Definitely look out for that. So, do I have any regrets in owning this car? Kind of, sort of, not really. I mean, like, I love this thing so much. This is the first car that I've really kind of owned, bought myself, and just made mine. So I don't really have a whole lot of regrets. But what I will say, if you can get yourself into an NC Miata, they made so many improvements, not only like in the interior, but in the engine as well. And it's just a better car. So if I could go back, I would have probably gotten an NC, and yeah, but I didn't do that, and I'm still happy with this. That's not exactly an issue. So future plans for this car, if you're new to the channel or whatever, I'm doing a turbo build, shooting for 215 wheel horsepower, and then next summer I'm upgrading turbos, and it should be around 250 wheel horsepower. At least that's what my goal is. I don't know if it's gonna get there, but we'll see. But yeah, if you're interested in Miatas, modifying the car scene, whatever, definitely check my channel out. See if you like it. I don't know. Subscribe if you want. But yeah, I should be turboing this car this summer, and having a blast. So that's kind of my little owner's review of this car. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a beautiful day out, and I really felt like making this video. So there you go. But anyway, have a good one, guys. I'll see you later.